This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
All right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. It's Good Friday, so that means I'm in a very, very good mood. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today. I really, really appreciate you and everything that you do for me and Judge Joe Brown and this network. We definitely love you to life. Again, you're listening to the Judge Joe Brown Show. I am Valerie Denise Jones. In a very, very mellow mood. Oh, my gosh. It's been a really, really good day. The number that should already be locked in your phone, should be locked in your phone, is 9294-771167. Again, 929-477-1167. I want to thank everybody who's already in the chat room and for those people who are hanging out with me via social media. I appreciate you so much. Please make sure that you continue to tweet and post on social media while we are live, because we've got a great show for you today. I've always wanted to meet this person because we have a common denominator, and his name is Judge Joe Brown. So I feel like he's like a surrogate brother of sorts. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very good time. I definitely have some questions for him regarding media and being an investigative journalist. So I want to have that conversation with him. And, again, thank you so much to our international listeners and callers. I see you guys out there. I appreciate you guys so much for what you do for this network, and also for those people who are already on the board. Appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We're, again, going to have fun. Please don't forget to press number 1 if you'd like to join the conversation. And, we're going to have about a 30-minute conversation. We're going to give Ron a chance to talk to us and share with us about who he is and what he does and what he represents. And then, we're going to cut the commercial break and then bring you back in so you can love on him as well. But don't forget that you have to be in a quiet area, right? We try to minimize our background noise as much as possible because you guys know this audio, and I share it on other platforms, and if the audio is poor, then they won't play it. And I don't blame them either, because he wants, ghetto, raggedy, audio to mess up their perfection. So we definitely want to make sure that we give them our best. All right, guys, so I think that's enough of me. I'm going to actually play this clip, and it is for Ron. I want him to listen to it, and when we come back, I'll talk. So, Ron, please make sure that you press the number 1. I don't know your number, but I will go in the back office and find you because the board's already lit. So, it's probably going to take a minute. I see Judge Brown in the building. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Judge Brown. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on the other side. All right, guys, we're back. You're listening to the Judge Joe Brown Show. I'm Valerie Denise Jones. I hope you enjoyed that audio. I really, truly, truly do. 929-477-1167. 929-477-1167. Please lock that number in your phone. So we want you to join us every Friday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on over here, hang out, get your weekend started, or at least end your work week off with a bang. However you want to put it, whether you're optimist or pessimist, it all works in our favor. We love you to life. All right, so right now at this time what I want to do is I want to open up the mic and bring in the one and only Mr. Ron. How are you?
It's an honor to be on here, Sister Valerie. I'm great.
Hey. Yes, I feel like I'm meeting one of my favorite celebrities, and I'm fanning out just a little bit because I remember watching you when I fell in love with Dick Gregory, and that's when I got to know you. And I remember watching, and he would be so brash, and I was like, that's a strong man, because Dick would just go so hard sometimes to the point it was funny, but, you know, you were writing and taking notes all the time, you know, so you really didn't have time, but God bless his soul. Yeah, so, yeah, gosh, Ron, you're here. I'm excited. Tell us a little bit about you so people know why I am excited.
Well, thank you, Sister Valerie. It's an honor to be on here to start the new year, or the now year off right in 2019. My name is Brother Ron Hurd II. People know me sometimes as Brother Ron, or also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. No, being Ronald Cortez Hurd II. I sometimes call myself the artivist. I look at myself as being an activist as well as an artist. And like Paul Robeson used to say, that artists are the gatekeepers of truth. I believe it's my duty to get the truth out there by any means necessary in terms of how I express myself. I have a platform, as you know, called We All Be TV. It's on YouTube. Just look for the name We All Be TV, one word. Also, I am the founder and director of the We All Be Group Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And we're all about encouraging the masses via social entrepreneurship, educational empowerment, and cultural preservation and awareness from the Black American point of view. So I've been involved in a couple of projects on the ground, out in the streets as well. Things like the Fort Pillow Massacre Project, where we actually created a counter-narrative to remember the victims of General Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a Confederate general and also a notorious slave trader and the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. So we actually was key in raising $3,000 to create a historic marker in honor of his victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre, who are buried at the Memphis National Cemetery. So when you go to the Memphis National Cemetery off of Jackson Avenue in Memphis, the first thing you see when you come upon the gates is this big historic marker that we dedicated last year on Juneteenth in honor of the 300 black male soldiers, women, and children that were slaughtered by Nathan Bedford Forrest and his men during the Civil War. So also we do the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival every year. We honor in 1 week Jimmy Lunsford, a music education pioneer in Memphis, and also a phenomenal jazz musician who was the #1 attraction for black dancers of the 30s and 40s throughout the country. So we honor him, who got his start in Memphis. And last year we was pivotal in bringing in the Sun Ra Orchestra, who was, Sun Ra was a great admirer of Jimmy Lunsford, and also he's the godfather of funk music, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people like Earth, Wind, and Fire them got their inspiration from Sun Ra. So wrap it all up, I'm an artist as well, visual artist and stuff like that. But as you know, I do the broadcasting on YouTube, on We All Be TV. I help, reintroduce Dick Gregory to a new generation of folks. And, it's been going on 5 years strong. We've been having Judge Joe Brown on. And he's also, gaining traction with some of the young folks. They looking for different things out there. So I'm sorry for the long, drawn-out thing, but that's it.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I can tell. You've been doing this a while because you articulate well. Definitely, you broke everything down. Now you're making my job difficult because now I don't have to unpack you. Yeah, but I was intrigued by the name. We All Be TV, one big old word. Why did you do it that way?
Well, I had came up with the idea for We All Be is basically, I guess, an acronym for World Enriching, Activating, Liberating Love, Beautification Experience. So I actually came up with that back in April of 2006. Actually, April Fool's Day 2006, I took a bus from Memphis to New Orleans to protest the early voting. The people don't, because this Hurricane Katrina happened in August 2005. And a lot of black folks were displaced from New Orleans and around surrounding areas. So we were protesting them. How can you hold a local election when most of the locals are not in town because of Hurricane FEMA or Katrina, whatever you want to call it? So I was crossing the bridge that they actually denied. That bridge where black folks were trying to walk towards that parish. They would not allow the black folks leaving New Orleans to go into the parish. We was actually crossing that bridge. And I was thinking about, black folks need we need a wake-up call. We need something to rally around. We need to start telling our story from our own perspective, because this is before the Facebook and the YouTube and all the social media entertainment infrastructure took place. You know, you had rumors coming out of Louisiana of cannibalism on the first day of Katrina. They were saying black folks were cannibalizing people. Then you also heard reports of white folks forming hunting groups and basically hunting down and shooting black folks, and people thought that was like not real, but we actually proved it happened, right? With the Danziger thing, the bridge, where they actually were killing black men. So you had these stories and stuff. I say, well, we need to have a way to tell our own story. And also, I want to teach the world how to really embrace black people. We are a beautiful people. We are a universal people, as I say. But a lot of times, we don't really see ourselves as such. So, Sun Ra said he was sent to Earth. So Sun Ra is a black man. He said he's from Saturn. You got to check out Sun Ra. He got some interesting music. But he said he was kidnapped by some aliens. I think it was the Klan because he's from Alabama. And they let him go if he teach the world how to love beautiful beings and things. And I'm here to teach the world how to love black people, how to inspire black people to love themselves by knowing who you are from knowledge yourself. So that's where the We All Be thing come from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was always fascinated by that. And then the artwork, is that something that, because I noticed that you start doing like merch with it, but you say you paint, draw, what is it? Because I draw, but I use pencil.
Oh, that's cool.
Not ink or color.
There's nothing wrong with that. You got to express yourself. Cause, I always tell people that because I'm a very expressive person, it keeps me out of prison. I mean, a lot of people are in jail because they don't know how to express themselves right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You had people that killed people that got out of jail because they knew how to sing or write a song. Think about this is folk song artist or folk musician named Lead Belly from Louisiana. He killed a person and he was able to get out of jail because he wrote a song for the governor of Louisiana and sung it for him. So he was able to get a pardon because he had the gift of music. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, I've been doing drawing, art, visual art since I was 2 years old. I'm 38 now. So since I was 2, I've been doing drawing and whatnot. And I was just lucky to have a mom who really paid attention to what my passions were. So she always encouraged me to continue my drawing, had me enlisted in the creative and performing art programs in junior high and high school. And also I got a full scholarship to go to Washington University in St. Louis based on my art abilities. So, I mean, it's been paying off. Your passions pay off for you to, recognize the opportunity to create an opportunity and to believe in yourself.
Right. I just want to ask you a few more questions. I know that I opened up the judge's mic, so he's live if ever he decides to come in. But I do want to ask you a couple questions because, like I said, I feel like I almost, in a sense, we have a lot of common denominators. But I feel as it relates to media, quite often I shadowed you because, I never met, the Honorable Dick Gregory before he passed away. And I'm kind of upset about that because I remember I was supposed to go to an event that he attended in, I think it was upstate New York or something, and I didn't go that particular weekend because I elected to do something else. But I remember that one interview that you did with Dr. Umar Johnson, and he was sitting, it looked like a hotel, and his chair looked like it was in front of a banister, and I think you were there with your mom. And that was just one of the most powerful interviews. Because I was working with him at the time, booking him for different events and stuff like that. But that was a very, very powerful interview. And I remember feeling a connection with you because you are so close to each other. And I definitely wanted to say out loud, I applaud you for that relationship. Hopefully she's still with us. And I'm not stepping over. Okay. All right, good.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, that was really good, a really good interview. And I really, really enjoyed that. So how did you meet Judge Brown?
I'm glad you asked me that question because I guess June will mark like our 5-year anniversary of knowing each other. Him being aware of me. I've been knowing about Judge Joe Brown for a while because he's a celebrity. He's one of those history makers in the city of Memphis, the city of good abode, but also because of his TV show. But I first met Judge when he was campaigning for DA back in, I would say, the spring of 2014. Maybe it was May, late May or June. I met him downtown Memphis, outside of Ernestine and Hazels, and I just asked him. I said, "Look, I'm into media. I would love to get in touch with you to do an interview." And he gave me his point person, his PR person, to get in touch with him. So back in June of 2014, the first time I ever interviewed Judge Joe Brown, and the rest is history.
Mhm. Yeah, you guys make a good team. You definitely do. Yes. So I don't want to hold the judge too long, but I do want to ask you some question about investigative journalism and then also this fake news thing that's out. But Judge, are you there? I know he hates my
Yeah, I'm here. The judge is
so I'll just do an applause right now.
Beginning. All right.
Excellent. Always good to hear the judge's voice.
You two up for a while. I thought you two would have a synergy with each other when it came down to doing what you do. You both seem to be about the same kind of positive thing, which is a good thing. A question. Since you've been interviewing all these people, you interview them and get their perspectives. I want yours. What do you think about all of this that they're making about R. Kelly these days?
I'm glad you asked me that, Judge. I would ask you the same thing. I would say this. I'm going to get out. Okay. Well, I'm a fan of R. Kelly's music, right? I'm a fan of R. Kelly. I don't care what nobody got to say about that. He's a music genius. You know, a lot of us can agree upon the fact that he's very gifted as a musician. Now, my problem is this. He has had his day in court. You know, this stuff been almost 20 years old. This stuff been going on for 20-plus years. If you go back to Aaliyah's wedding or marriage to R. Kelly. If they really had anything on R. Kelly, how come he's not in a jail cell or in a penitentiary right now? You know, what is the timing of all this right now?
Well, it's this thing that they are doing right now. There is a push by this bunch to get around the law. And they have this, it seems like they have this perspective of, if we can't get them in courts, let's destroy them in the media. Mm-hmm. So the clip we listened to a little while ago, what she was talking about is this filthy thing called tabloid journalism, where you don't report the news, you use newsworthy events or non-newsworthy events, and you create historical fiction. You make it into a soap opera. Mm-hmm. And that comes from the National Enquirer, the Globe, the Star, and I remember years ago when I would be in front of a jury, I'd pull out this old front page, 2 articles from the National Enquirer. It said, child born half pig, half human to loving couple in barnyard. And they had this baby with a pig's snout airbrushed on. And then they had one a couple of years later, a child, half pig, half human, thriving, loving couple, responsible, and they had an older edition of the child with a pig snout airbrushed on its face, and that was on the front page of a newspaper. And I pointed it out that this is where it's coming from, and just because it's in a newspaper, you can't believe it because it's in print. You know, we have this weakness as humans for it is written, therefore. And, you know, these days what's written can usually be termed garbage. Take a look at Twitter, for an example. We use Twitter, and it's a means of communication from everything from hard science down to blue-check little airbrushed Photoshop China doll, and she's saying, I had purple jello and it quivered, and then get 86.4K likes. You know, like, what kind of stupid folk are interested in this nonsense? But, you know, you think back to circuses and P.T. Barnum, somebody is supposed to have asked him, Mr. Barnum, how do you think you can make money off of this? It would take a fool to come in here and pay money for this kind of thing. He said, well, I'm going to make a lot of money because there's a fool born every minute. You know, so it is what it is. And you pointed out, like, they couldn't get him in court, so let's destroy him otherwise. It's this hashtag Me Too nonsense, I think, is behind it, from looking at the people.
I want to ask both of you something then on that subject. Black Dot said something today, and he was just like, he felt like people are literally trying to control black folks' energy. Like whenever it seems like we're good, and you could tell that we're about to take it that next level of thinking, we're coming together, we're working together, we're bonding. You know, there's no, the black men and women are getting along, and boom, there's always something, to divide us. Just mess up the whole Wakanda energy, so to speak. Do you guys feel that he's being used? Because like you said, the story's like 20 years old, and you could tell that they're just fascinated with this one person, but then none of the story makes sense. Like the people who are involved, Charlemagne the God shouldn't even be in the storyline. Rhea's, 1 minute she's saying one thing, another minute she isn't. It's already been brought to the attention that another person that was in the film, that, this whole thing was staged. Her daughter and son are speaking out against her. And then it came out that R. Kelly's, Aaliyah's mom, R. Kelly's former manager, who is also Aaliyah's uncle, he owns all of R. Kelly's, all of his public, publishings, and it's just a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what was this whole thing about?
It was destroy a black man. That's from my perspective. R. Kelly is foolish. Hell, I could call him a fool because he acts like it. He should have managed his own emotive desires better. But be that as it may, it's dead, and it's just something to tear things down and stir up the pot. And you've got a group of people that are once again using us to be in the forefront of some struggle that doesn't really concern us, that they can use us as sort of poster children for. And like, this R. Kelly, women have been done wrong. Men need to be suppressed. Manhood is bad. Men can't control themselves. Men are dogs, this kind of thing that you got out there. And they do a special on R. Kelly. They sensationalize it. It obviously looks like it's staged and scripted. So what's the point? Except you got an agenda you're trying to push.
I also like to add, Judge make great points, and I also like to add, this is what Brother Malcolm makes. Some of the most important things he ever told us that people don't really understand is that, like, one, he said, only a fool will let their enemies be the primary educators of their children. Only a fool will let their enemies be the primary educators of their children. And also, number two, he said that the media is the most powerful entity on the planet. It influences and controls the minds of the masses. When you don't control your media, you don't control your narrative. So you don't even control your image. So right now, the mass media is treating black folks like we're living in Jonestown under Jim Jones down in Guyana. People need to look at, what is Jonestown? Who is Jim Jones? A lot of black folks that, he was over a lot of black people in his cult. And a lot of black folks were killed under him. But Jim Jones was this charismatic figure. He spoke well, had magnetism. And a lot of times what they're doing with black folks, we're very emotional people. We like to follow people. It's a human thing, but a cult of personality. It's not much about the message. It is about the messenger. And with R. Kelly, what is interesting, too, like what you said about Aaliyah's uncle controlling his publishing, in that song he did last summer, I Admit, the 20-minute song, he talks about the reason why he still tours because he's broke. He has no money. See, all this stuff is coming out now because he can't pay these people off. There was extorting and blackmailing R. Kelly for years. So now he can't pay the parents and the so-called victims out. Now they're coming out with these interesting stories. But what I'm looking at is that they are running a psyops on black people using social media. Like we look at the CIA with the Operation Mockingbird. A lot of these so-called legitimate news sources are fronts for U.S. intelligence. You understand, like the Washington Post, New York Times, TV shows. Look at 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes, they got CIA consultants. The Central Intelligence Agency controls the narrative. They front these different things, but it is a war on the black hetero image. It is a war on the black man as far as the image. They try to make the black man the boogeyman of all American ills. Like Willie Horton, back in the day when they had the Willie Horton commercials from 1988 for George H.W. Bush. when he was running against Mike Dukakis for president. They put out that Willie Horton commercial, and it scared the hell out of white America. And so they, a lot of them voted for Bush. Think about Richard Nixon with Law and Order. All these things, or the Southern strategy, all these things are code words for trying to put black folks in our proper places. If you look at the history of America, most of the people, black folks who were lynched because they were business people. Like even in Memphis, Tennessee, where they had the People's Grocery lynching. Ivy Wells' good friends, the reason why they were lynched because they were successful grocery men. They had successful People's Grocery that was doing better business than the white grocery business across the street. So a lot of black folks, a lot of people were terrorized because we were successful business people and we're trying to organize among ourselves. You think about Black Wall Street. Think about the 100th anniversary of the Lane, Arkansas massacre. We had probably 1,000 black folks massacred across the river from Memphis because they wanted to organize their own sharecroppers union. You had the white folks come to a church meeting down in Elaine, Arkansas, shoot up a church because black people want to organize among themselves their economic rights. So,
and I want to bring in some more people, of course, but I want you guys, Judge, if you don't have anything else to say on this, and I don't want to move forward, but I want to know if you guys think that this ties into the government shutdown. So, Judge, do you have anything else before I start opening up a few lines and let other people participate in the conversation?
I can't say anything other than rank speculation, which I think is a wrong thing to do about whether it's tied into the government shutdown. But what they might be doing is attempting to generate ratings because people are not responding to constant bombardment about the government shutdown. Well, maybe it does, but not indirectly. It's people aren't responding the way the media wants them to and getting all wild up where they stay tuned for the next little shred of information on the government shutdown. So the R. Kelly story becomes something that you can continually go back to and create and generate story after story that's a spinoff of the thing. So that's good for ratings, and that's another problem with media. They get driven by ratings, and a lot of what we hear is nonsense to boost the ratings and get the viewer to stay tuned for the next little tidbit. But anyway, I'll rest on that one.
I also like to add to that, the most important news day of the week is Friday. When the news infrastructure, when they give out the most important news, it comes on Friday. You want to know why? Because by the time the weekend hits, you forget about the story on Monday. So some of the most important information for the whole week comes out on Fridays. But by the time the weekend hits, about Monday rolls around, you forget about it. So, but also look at this, too. You look at R. Kelly, you look at Prince, you look at Michael Jackson. All these guys, Michael and Prince especially, they fought for control of their music. They fought for Michael Jackson had the Sonny catalog. Prince allegedly had his own masters. Then once these guys died, their wills are incontested. People don't know if these wills are legitimate, supposedly. Like, think about it. Why would you spend a lot of your life and resources trying to get your music or intellectual property in your hand only to lose it after death? R. Kelly don't even got control of his publishing. So people, you got to follow the money sometimes when it comes to this stuff. And I believe it is a distraction because you look at the movie Wag the Dog that came out over 20 years ago. People need to look at that movie, Wag the Dog. And they explain to you in layman terms what they're really about. And so, as far as distractions, because Judge talk about all the time, these like the Roman Empire days of breads and circuses, a lot of distractions. So I'll rest on that.
And one more thing, that movie, they said that it was like a social media. There was a lot of fake accounts that were set up. That Netflix movie, Bird Box. It's like all this stuff coming in at the same time. All of it just seemed a little bit suspect. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems to all tie in together, but what do we pay attention to? At any given time? Like where should our focus be? I think that they knew how to distract quote unquote colored folks, by putting R. Kelly in the news. That was an easy distraction. And this Bird Box thing, it's a lot. It's really, really a lot. All right, so let me open up maybe one or two mics, and let's just keep the conversation going. 229-733, 229-733. Welcome to the show. Give us your name, and do you have a question or comment?
Thank you so much. I have a comment, and I'd like to say hello to Judge Joe. I'm a big fan of yours. Look,
Thank you.
Hey, you changed the conversation to something that's very interesting, and that is the fact how information and misinformation generates ratings. And in modern time, the times that we're living in, we have to understand that ratings are king. Ratings are king, you know, especially in the days of this type of TV that we watch, cable television, and things of that sort. Donald Trump understands that. Donald Trump understands that ratings generate the audience, and that's why he flip-flops on everything every day. Now, let me to the host. She mentioned about how this type of information and disinformation is being viewed and targeted towards people of color. I think that is something that we need to really pay attention to, because, you know, with the information that's coming down the pike now, how the Russians understand that. All right, the Russians understand how they can take gullible people, such as people like Donald Trump and anybody that's in it to make a dollar. They can use disinformation, and wherever you point this information to be targeted, it works. Now, people of color need to be more involved and more in tune about really what's going on, because this is just only the beginning. You see, you know, in the age of sensationalism sells, just like sex used to sell. But now sensationalism sells, and if it's not sensational, then they don't care to air it. That's why you have so much so-called false fake news and things of that sort, because it's sensational. So people of color, we need to really kind of wake up and understand what's really going on. And quickly about the R. Kelly story, you know, it has been pointed out that a lot of these young ladies that was loaned to R. Kelly, with the pretense of them being made famous somewhere down the line, and when their career tanked out, that's when the parents want to come back and say that he abused these young children at the time, or these teenagers at the time. But these teenagers was loaned to him with the understanding that he could actually help them in their career going forward. But when they tanked out, then that's when they want to have a problem with it. Thank you, folks.
Yeah. Judge, and Ron, I'm fascinated. He says sex used to sell, like used to. It doesn't sell no more.
That's hashtag me too. That's that hashtag me too thing. Sex used to sell, but now they're trying to tamp down on sexuality.
You just grab them by it like the president? You just grab it?
Yeah, well, that if you listen to the men in the locker room, that's what most of them would say. Or at least if they didn't actually do it, they tried to. Most women will back that up. But in any event, there's another thing, too. It's not just what they're doing to us, and we need to be aware of that. It's what they're using us for. See, in other words, it's like a horror movie. Horror movies don't work if there's not something that's the subject of the movie that isn't horrifying or scary to the viewer. So they use us because we are scary to the audience they have in mind. In other words, the general white mainstream audience. And we become something to titillate them with, a horror story like the colored are getting ready to rise up on the plantations and slaughter folks. And you don't even own slaves, but you live nearby. You get all freaked out about that, and you want to go down and find the Nat Turner and the Denmark Vesey types and lynch them because it scares you. So we don't have too much direct lynching anymore, but we have a lot of what they call vicarious lynching. So we get that, and people get titillated. They stay tuned in, and they have another little secret something, a scorecard that they can say the colored, the black folk or the African Americans, this is what they're doing now. And by the way, you noticed during the Obama administration where the use of the term African American fell off and it's now gone back to black. I'm not so upset with that, but I'm just observing. We now use black. 5 years ago, it was African American everything.
So maybe they're making America great again. Judge Brown, you know that. We're not human. This is not our country. You know that. I don't know why you're tripping. But anyway, let me open up two more mics, and then I'll let while you're answering that.
Well, here's another thing. Trump likes Black Nookie. His girlfriend for 2 years he took everywhere before the current wife was black. So she is fine too, a model. All fine, yeah. Movie star quality, yeah. But see,
gotcha.
That is another thing too. You titillate them. They've got this secret fear, and ultimately, if you go to some place and you sit down at a bar where they nibble cheese and crackers and they drink wine, you know, red in hand and a glass of white on the table because they prefer the white, you hear them talking about the real problem is these atavistic black men who go around beating their women. Those are the ones that are inspiring our men to do bad things. Right? Yeah, okay. That's a little far-fetched, but they believe it. So I'll leave it at that for right now.
All right, I opened up, thank you, 229733 for that comment. I opened up 904520 and 818613. Guys, welcome to the show. Please give us your name and your comment.
Hey, this is Fee. My bad. And what order you want us to go in? Because, you know, you just said 904 and 818. So what's up? Who you want to go first? I don't want to step on 904's toes.
Go ahead.
All right.
All right, so appreciate it, Mr. 904 over there. Look, this is Philo the Great calling out of Nashville, Tennessee. Look, I want to make a comment on this R. Kelly thing. I heard y'all talking about it. My comment is simple and plain. Anything left untreated only gets worse. R. Kelly, man, this wasn't nothing new. It all started with A.L.L. She was a teenager. He got her pregnant. He even married her, snuck and married this little girl. And, you know, dude got really mental health issues, and he's sick when it comes to sex and pedophilia and all that. He's really turned out by that. Now, I just want to say it shouldn't have nothing to do with dude music. That's like the way they blackballing him, like taking all his music down. It shouldn't have nothing to do with that. Yes, as a person, he's sick. As a person, he needs mental help. As a person, he needs to be checked in. As a person, he ain't shit, in my opinion. But as far as his music, his talent, that should not have anything to do with dude's personal issues. But dude is sick, man. This is something we all knew. Now that they bringing it out, yes, dude is broke. He illiterate, can't read, so to say. So all these things you learning about this dude who then wrote all these hit records, and right now don't have a pot to piss in and the one to throw it out. And you know, anything you do for so long, it'll come back against you, man. That's what karma is. And so R. Kelly just living out the karma that's set for him. So I don't feel bad for dude. Only thing I feel bad about is the music. That all that good music that dude made, you can't stream it, you can't go listen to it, because ain't nobody behind it no more. But other than that, man, shit, damn R. Kelly. That's Philo the Great.
Philip, I'd like to
Okay.
ask you a question real quick because something came out on social media based on what you just said. They were saying that Aaliyah's parents used her as bait because they knew he had a fetish and an attraction for young women, and because of that, after he married her, I guess they bartered. The negotiation was that, the end result was that they ended up with his publishing. And then it was like she was kind of passed around in the industry because she was still very young when she dated Jay-Z and possibly DMX and also Damon Dash. Right. So how do you feel about the fact that, they kind of took it, he wasn't alone, like they played him. Do you feel
Valerie,
less?
Let's keep it real.
Sorry.
Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. When you of age and you a grown man of age, can't nobody swindle you to do nothing with a young girl underage unless you sick in your mind. So no matter what had happened, dude sick in his mind. Like if I'm a normal grown man, you know what I'm saying, over the age of 21, can't nobody on God's green earth bring somebody underage to me, present them to me, and say, have your way with this woman, or talk to this woman, or court this woman, this child, this little girl, whatever the case may be, because she underage, unless you sick in your mind. So if they set that man up, that says something about her parents. Like, for them to even put their baby out there like that, that's supposed to be your baby. So that says something about the parents, not this sick dude who you know sick anyway. So it really says something about her parents. And that may be why she's not here to this day, because her parents.
And I agree with you, and I want to turn up the heat just a little bit more. Do we blame a lot of these parents? Because it seemed like a lot of these parents allowed their children to be in his presence knowing he had this sickness. And again, I feel like
yes, it is.
she was put in his presence, put like walking an alcoholic into a bar. You know he's going to fall prey to this. But it was like they loaned their kids to this person because they wanted what he had or what what they could benefit from him. So we should be putting a lot, as it relates to the public and the public court. We should be like really investigating the families as well, because they put these young adults in his care. So what should we expect if you take the child to Freddy Krueger's house? You walked him over there. He like one more last point. What's her name? Kaya made a point. She said people always joke about her van. They said it looks like the ice cream truck, right? But he didn't go around in the ice cream truck driving around looking for little kids. They literally offered these little kids to him on a silver platter. So is he the only person we should blame?
Let me speak. I got to run off right quick. I got some clients, but I want to speak on this right quick. This is Nate Campbell from Jacksonville, Florida. I hope y'all can hear me clearly. But let's get
Nate, we can hear you.
I've been knowing about R. Kelly since I was in college. That was in the late 80s. My boys in Atlanta knew about it. My boys in Seattle knew about it. All the fighters used to swap stories about R. Kelly. As a matter of fact, I got one dude that told me a story I was getting ready to fight in Chicago. He said, Nate, they got this little get-together over at R. Kelly house, but I ain't going. I said, why? His exact words. Ain't going to be nothing but a whole bunch of young hoes over there. It's going to be like going to a daycare. Now, if they knew about then, if they knew about that then, they knew about it. They've been knew about it. So let's take it a little further. Jay-Z is guilty because he had sex with Aaliyah. He was having sex with Beyonce, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing about that because they love Beyonce. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing about the fact that Jay-Z gave Foxy Brown a venereal disease at 15, 16 years old. Nobody talking about that. Everybody talking. Foxy Brown put it out there that Jay-Z and Jamie Foxx came in the room on her together. So nobody's talking about that. We have selective outrage. Whenever we get to saying some things about somebody, we don't stop to think that it's somebody else doing that same thing that you are playing their music right now. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you listen to the Ether album from Nas, he told you about Foxy Brown way back then. So let's talk. Let's really put it out there. The mamas and the daddies are the problem. Because if you telling me, you're going to tell me out of your own mouth that my daughter is away with some grown man 2, 3, 4 in the morning and I don't know what's going on, you's a damn lie. I'm going to tell you right now, if I come to a house and my daughter's in that house and I got 3 of them, one of my daughters in that house and I can't get in there to see about my daughter, I'm going to tell one of my boys, now you go down there to that gas station we just passed and get me $2.75 worth of gas and bring me a book of matches. You understand me? Bring me a book of matches. You finna come out of here with my baby. You understand me? And then everybody in that house going to have to speak to me, and it's going to be ugly. If I'd have found out and saw a tape of R. Kelly having carnal sex with my little bitty 14, 15-year-old daughter, and he urinates on her, I would cut his head off and go downtown to the police department, sit, you know how you go into the police department and you walk up to the desk and say, may I speak to Sergeant so-and-so? I would go sit down there right across from the desk with his head on my lap, and I go to singing, I don't see nothing wrong, right there that day. But see, the problem is you got a bunch of these old sissified-ass parents that let this man have their way with his daughter because they had a business plan. Because let me tell you something. Aaliyah mom and dad is still getting paid off of Aaliyah's music right now. And that money should have been R. Kelly's money, but because they knew he knew they had something on him, he was allowed to do what he did to her. But the law indemnifies them by saying we didn't know, but it puts him in the position of being a criminal. So listen, I'm not saying he don't deserve to go to jail because he do, but they should go to jail first because it was their job to protect their baby. That's their baby. His mama. Man. Let me tell y'all something. Ain't no way under the whole heaven that you can tell me that somebody did something to my 12-year-old granddaughter or my daughter when she was 14, and I don't kill everybody connected to him. I done went in that house and killed everybody with I done bit their jugular vein in half about my children. But the problem is you ain't got no real parents out here no more. These people thinking about what they can get. What's in this for me? So nobody want to tell the truth about this thing. I'm not saying R. Kelly ain't guilty, but what about the other people that are guilty? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I stood in front of Judge Joe Brown in court with him preside over the murder case, and he just said, why did you do it? I'd have said, look at that tape. Look at that tape, Your Honor. Look at that tape. What would you have done? I wouldn't even need a lawyer for this case. I said, look at this tape and tell me what would you have done. I was crazy. I was deranged. I lost my mind. Warm up. Both of them.
Temporary insanity. Temporary insanity.
But if you know the parents,
wait a minute. You know something? You know something that gets me about this whole thing they're doing with R. Kelly? I don't really know what her name was, but the woman that said she also had sex with that girl.
There you go. That's against the law.
They haven't done anything to her. It's a felony. I don't know what the Illinois statute of limitations is, but there you go. That's probable cause to prosecute somebody.
But everybody's mad at R. Kelly.
Yeah. See, the other thing is about the mamas. That's how that Michael Jackson worked, was the mothers brought these kids to them. And you go and see when they occasionally get a 18 cinema with 18 screens, and you've got 7 of them on a redo on that last Michael Jackson tour, and all these fat women walk in there with their sons with white socks on and one glove on. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? You would like to have your boy turned over to this dead pervert? And they just love it. And nothing's done to them. I think that's at least contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I mean, an accessory to, actually it's pandering, procuring for purposes of prostitution.
Well, Judge, with the Michael Jackson thing, this is my issue with that. I'm just going to be a man of reason on that. He did settle out of court the first time around. When he took it to court, he beat it back in 2005. The DA tore up Neverland Ranch looking for evidence that he did anything to anybody, and they couldn't find it. They tore up Neverland Ranch. He couldn't live there no more. He was just so traumatized by the whole thing. According to him, And also I remember when Jermaine Jackson was on Larry King post-trial, he told Larry King that Michael Jackson's master bedroom was 5,000 square feet. And I think a person would think if his master bedroom was 5,000 square feet, how big was the bed he was sharing? And also what troubled me after the first time he was accused of being a pedophile, you had not just parents, but organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation kept on bringing him kids to his Neverland Ranch to participate in his amusement park and petting zoo, whatever you want to call it. But I'm saying, why are these people enabling these people if they are predators, as they say? How come they can't prove it in the court of law? How come they keep on enabling these people by having kids around? It's like you look at Penn State. You look at a lot of things. But why is it that, Michael Jackson, like Al Capone, people say he killed a lot of people, but they could never prove it in the court of law that Al Capone killed anybody. So by legal definition, he's not a murderer.
They couldn't get
So R. Kelly or Michael Jackson are not pedophiles.
Well,
by legal definition.
See, the case on Jackson depended on witnesses, and they couldn't get anybody that was going to really get in there and drop the bombshells on the testimony. But what gets me to prove the case that he really was, but, they couldn't get a criminal conviction, is when that fool was out there in the rain under that black umbrella talking about there was nothing wrong with a grown man showing love to a child who is not a relative under 10 by being naked in the bed with him. And he said that out of his own mouth, and I've heard that recording several times, so unless they doctored it, he's admitted to being a pedophile. But they couldn't prove it in court. Everybody knows who did it, but you can't prove it using legal methodology.
But he got John Gotti in jail, right, for wiretaps, right? He was incriminating himself, right?
He was incriminating himself.
But they got him in jail for that.
Yeah, but see, they got the bull testifying against him.
And how can you trust a snitch or a mobster?
Oh, hell no.
But even with Aaliyah, I'm gonna tell y'all something. People, we gotta do our research. I have a relative right now. He was 28 when he married his wife. Well, she was 14, right? They've been married for 64 years. It's like Elvis Presley met Priscilla Presley when she was a teenager. The parents were okay with that. Jerry Lee Lewis, another musician, married his 13-year-old cousin when he was a grown man. I remember when I was in junior high school, I knew 14-year-old girls that were dating 30-year-old men. In junior high, this was 20-something years ago. So we act like this stuff just happened, and he didn't go to no daycare. He went to high school parking lots. I mean, when I was in high school, you had older guys with their fast cars hanging out in the parking lot, taking the girls to the mall of Memphis to buy some Jordans or get some McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be honest about this. The culture that we're living in. Black bodies have not been owned by black people at least since 1619. We have not had control over our bodies in this system. Think about what I'm saying, whether it be entertainment, whether it be so-called chattel slavery. Think about the father of gynecology, so-called J. Marion Sims from South Carolina. He used to mutilate the vaginas and wombs of black women, and they called it medical breakthroughs. They had a statue of J. Marion Sims up in Central Park recently for years to honor this guy as the father of gynecology. Look what they did to Henrietta Lacks at Johns Hopkins University. They violated her body without her consent and made billions and billions and billions of dollars off of it. And her family living in Baltimore with no health insurance to this day.
Well,
we got to think about what's going on.
It's wrong, and like when I was sitting on the criminal bench in Memphis, I'd get all of these girls in there that had children starting at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and got 5 and 6 of them before they hit 18, or 3 or 4, and they put the fathers down, and nobody's prosecuting the fathers for especially aggravated rape. See, I mean, it's like, woman, I remember this woman on the stand. I said, did you know that this 27-year-old man was sleeping with your 13-year-old daughter? She said, yeah, I put him up to it. I told him he was staying at my house. He was staying at your house? Yeah. I said, well, please explain to the court why that was the case. So, well, all my friend girls are saying, you got a grown woman at your house. She 12, 13 years old, and she ain't getting no check. And I said, you going to help out. I wanted her to get herself knocked up. I said, you knew about it. I said, put $100,000 bond on this woman and have her arrested as an accessory to this offense of especially aggravated rape. And I had her locked up right there. What about my babies? I said, you don't need to be around any of them. And see, I didn't give that guy any mercy, but he's sitting there crying, snot running down his nose. Judge, what are you doing this to me? I don't understand. My brother was born when my mama was 12. What's wrong with it? So it's a culture thing, too. But, you know, white folk do it, too. Jerry Lee Lewis, a prime example. They had a kickback to it, but, you know, some states still to this day, a woman can be married at 14, which I think is ridiculous. But
Alabama like that. Alabama's like that.
And also, I want to say Marvin Gaye, his last wife, he was messing around with her when she was in high school. Her parents knew about it. They was okay with it. That was Marvin Gaye's last wife. His first wife was older than him.
He was so blown off that coke, I don't know if he knew what the hell he was doing.
But the parents was okay with it. I want to say they allowed him to mess around, this grown man, mess around their daughter in high school. That was his last wife he had, his third wife, I believe.
Yeah, they needed to be whipped.
But Aaliyah ain't no, that's an arranged marriage. That's like some cultural stuff. Like you look at India with arranged marriages. I mean, basically what y'all saying is Aaliyah had an arranged marriage with R. Kelly. But R. Kelly has been, for the most of his life, a functional illiterate. So he sold away all his publishing. And once he died, they're going to put all his music back out there so they can exploit. Just like with Michael Jackson. As soon as he died, they got hold of that Sony catalog. He was able to have the Beatles and all that stuff because he owned the rights to the Beatles music. And if you don't understand this, it's warfare with these people. Everything in human activity is warfare. If you look at the bedroom politics of anybody, you take any of our bedroom politics, people will not probably respect us afterwards. You know, if you listen to anybody's music, you can't listen to gospel music. Look at the Reverend James Cleveland. You know, he died from AIDS. How he get the AIDS? This is like the king of gospel music, Reverend James Cleveland. Look at Bobby Womack. Bobby Womack, not only did he marry Sam Cooke's widow, he slept with Sam Cooke's daughter while he was married to Sam Cooke's widow. He had an affair with Linda Cook when she was about 17 or 18 years old while he was married to Sam Cooke's wife. So I'm going to stop listening to Bobby Womack because of his personal shortcomings? I mean, if you start doing this, is just a witch hunt. You can't listen to nobody. You start looking at people's personal history and their sex lives.
Well, I won't listen to Jackson music just off of GPs. I never did like them anyway. When they were kids, they sounded like a bunch of rats in a bag getting ready to be drowned. But there's no accounting for taste. But it's some sickness, and maybe too much of it is out there in the media because the people that run it, the people that are involved in it, the people that are the principals, they tend to be, not all of them, but some of them tend to be a little, what shall we say, weird. And there's a lot more to that stuff that hasn't come out about Hollywood exploiting somebody because, you know, it's convenient.
When the two Corys talk about it, like Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, they try to talk about the pedophilia running rampant in Hollywood, and they got shut down with the Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Todd Bridges, and there were a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
I want to also add something else to this conversation. Officer Stan, welcome to the conversation. I'm trying to add a few more people to this, but I have a huge problem piggybacking on what Ron just said and what Philip said earlier regarding Hollywood. All these people who are now, like, in a sense, denouncing him, oh, man, you're speaking against his music, him as an artist, that versus his personal life, Lady Gaga, John Legend, all these people who, made money off of this guy. If you're taking the time out now to speak out against this person, and you're saying, he's a problematic musician, and also, too, that you apologize that you work with him, then apologize the right way, in my opinion. Give the money back to all those people who can prove that they purchased your albums. I think that, again, it is really, really sad that people are kind of using this, in my opinion, as a PR stunt. Because if I am Lady Gaga and I denounce R. Kelly and I say I am so sorry that I did XYZ song with him, then of course people are going to go and try and find that song because supposedly, right, she had it removed from whatever source, whatever platform it was on. To me, it's just like Hollywood all around. It's so sick. It's just all of it. I don't even know where to start, and I definitely feel for the victims, the real victims of this. But I look at it, and I'm saddened by the fact that these parents were feeding this beast. They were feeding this monster. But also at the same time, I'm also looking at the fact that hurt people hurt people. This person was molested by a man, raped by his sister. His sister took his virginity. His brother's out here now telling the entire world, my sister is the first person I slept with. But also, too, I just listened to Nate, who was saying it was known to everybody. This man was a pedophile. Hey, you know what? He's the creepy guy. Why didn't somebody stop this a long time ago? Long time ago. Why was he allowed to continue for 20 years? So who do you blame? Who do you really blame? Because it just seemed like everybody benefited from this. It's like replaying and reliving this whole God bless the dead. What was that pastor who was caught with the little boy?
Eddie Long.
Yes, Eddie Long, when everybody was, talking about him. But all the preachers were saying, we knew that. If we knew something about it, why aren't people doing something about it?
Because long as the money don't stop, people won't complain.
Half of them are fellow freaks.
Right.
So then
how dare you
put your name and speak out against something like Charlemagne the God, who, again, I blame her mother, this person who claimed that he raped her. I mean, your daughter was out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. She's 15. Why are you letting your 13, 14, 15-year-old hang out with this grown-ass man anyway? They shouldn't be friends. They got nothing in common. Why would I allow you to befriend my baby girl? Like, that's insane. But I don't even know where to even start because I feel bad as a woman, and I feel bad for the real true victims.
Well, Sister Valerie, the thing about it is we got to put our thinking caps on. With the Eddie Long situation, the only reason we found out about that is when he stopped paying them boys or those young men. When he stopped paying them with trips to Europe and all this stuff he was lavishing on them, that's when we started hearing. We didn't start hearing about R. Kelly until maybe the money started running dry because he don't own his publishing. Like you said, he's touring because he's broke. So he stopped being extorted and blackmailed by these people. He said, I can't pay y'all no more. Forget it. It wasn't that long ago when Michael Jordan was getting extorted by this white lady. He stopped paying her and just made it public that this woman is trying to take this money from me, and she said I owe her this and that, and nothing came of that. He just put it out in the public. But with us, with Eddie Long thing is he wasn't necessarily, all these guys are interesting. They R. Kelly called himself the Pied Piper, right? He said he's the Pied Piper of R&B. Who was the Pied Piper of Hamlin, right? Pied Piper of Hamlin went around. He was making the rats come out the city by playing his music. And when the townspeople wouldn't pay him, he played his music and took all the kids with him, and they disappeared. So he never lied about the persuasion of his music, how he was, he was able to persuade and influence people with his music. But my thing is this, is that how can you talk about the system and not be serious about curing the disease? Is it R. Kelly or is it the culture? Because I remember when growing up that my mom and my family would not let us stay over people's house overnight. Like my mom said, y'all can't stay over so-and-so house. I know they live next door, but because in the neighborhood where my mama grew up in, my uncle was a victim of a pedophile, of a monster, as y'all call it. You had 2 monsters in that community in South Memphis. You had 2 well-known pedophiles among the community. My uncle was molested by a next-door neighbor. And the only reason my grandparents found out about it because the principal and the teacher of the elementary school he was attending called my grandmother into a conference with them. Because my uncle, he was a good student at first. He obeyed and all this stuff. Then he started acting out in class. His grades dropped. And then the principal and the teacher told my grandma that he was being molested by a neighbor on the same street as they lived. My grandma wanted to go to the police, but the principal and the teacher said, don't do that. Just keep him away from the guy. But the thing about it was, the reason why he was over there was because the guy's sister would get boys in the neighborhood to come over to the house so he could molest them. His sister was helping him or enabling him to molest the boys in the neighborhood. So my uncle kept on getting taken advantage of. It's hard for me to understand why my grandparents acted the way they did towards that situation, or the community. Because you also had another monster predator who was a well-known college professor at the local HBCU. He was on the board of directors at the local church in the community. And his thing was he would try to lure little boys in, saying, I want y'all to cut my grass. And he'd give them candy and money, but once he gets you in the house, he'll take advantage of you sexually. So you have a generation of black boys going to manhood being messed up by their experience because the adults around them failed them, including my grandparents. It probably bothered them to the day they died, what happened to my uncle, because it tormented him to the day he died. He died from HIV/AIDS complications at the age of 40, about 15 years ago.
Are you from Memphis?
Yes, sir. I'm in Memphis right now.
Oh, love. I'm from Memphis, too. I just wanted to ask that. What's your name, bro?
My name, I'm Ron Hurd. I go by Brother Ron sometimes.
All right. I'm going to connect with you. Valerie, make sure I connect with Brother Ron. He's from my hometown.
Yes, Philip, he is, I sent you a couple of his videos long before we started working with Judge Brown. He's We All Be TV. Remember the videos? We learned of him when he was interviewing Dick Gregory.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will put the two of you in contact. But yeah, you've heard him before. But I will put the two of you in contact. Judge Brown, I think we've got Officer Stan on the line.
My adopted son. Okay.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all?
Oh,
hi,
blessings,
how are
man.
you?
Good to hear you.
I'm doing well. Hey, Pop, it's good to hear from you. Very interesting conversation. I'm going to apologize ahead. I'm in the truck right now trying to get home, but I'm loving this. It brings back kind of some bad memories. I worked a call about 20 years ago, and it was on night shift, and I'm sitting up at the police department. A guy walked in with a shoebox full of pictures, about 600 of those old Polaroids you had to peel apart pictures. And it was a picture of a man with a 6-year-old girl having sex, and he had set the camera on a timer. So I had to sit and look at all of these 600 pictures, and the guy said, well, I just moved in with this old man, and I found this. And these are from maybe late 60s, early 70s, and by then it's in the 90s, so I'm like, okay, so I go down to the house, and the old man lets me go in and search his house. He says, yeah, you can come in, and by then he's in his 70s. So in all of these pictures, what was creepy is there was one of those Shirley Temple Cupid dolls that were about maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall. That was in every one of these pictures naked in the back. So I'm searching his house, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what I'm going to find in here. And I go in a room, and there's that doll. So, of course, we end up arresting him and everything as time went on. And so one day I never went to trial. He pled guilty. And I go down to the police department one day. They call me. There's some people down there with a bunch of flowers. And I go in, and there's about 5 or 6 people now in their 40s crying, and they say, we told everybody about this when we were little, and nobody believed us. And you were the only one 40 years later that believed us. And the guy had molested all his sons, his daughters, his grandchildren. He just went through the family. He was the older Hispanic guy that owned a restaurant, a popular restaurant here in town. So the district attorney wouldn't prosecute it for that reason because they were all good friends and how that goes. And the guy would cut the vaginal hair, some of the vaginal hair off of each one of his female victims, and he would glue it onto the vaginal area of the doll. And when we got that doll, all that hair was still on there. I remember going to the DA conference and seeing that doll in a big plastic bag. And out of all the things I've seen in 26 years that would make people lose sleep, that doll has forever stayed in my head. And it just goes to show when people make that claim, you can't blow it off. I could have easily just told the guy, well, just throw him away, but that's not how we do business. And here it is 40 years later, you bring closure. So when people tell you these things, don't be quick to blow it off or make it up because they're a celebrity or a person in a certain sphere that has power or influence. Because oftentimes it's the people that hold some kind of control or power over potential victims. These people pick folks out, targets on purpose that they can control. And, one of the girls ended up committing suicide long before I was told about it. 2 went on to be strippers. 2 were drug addicts. 1 guy was gay. And that had ruined almost every male and female in his family. And they ended up giving him like 60 years, so I guess he pretty much died in there. I didn't really follow him once he went to prison. But to me, that's one of the things I'll take away from this job, that I can say, I did good for these people. They finally got somebody that would listen to them and believe in them,
Well, you know what? There are cases here. We got a corrupt DA in Memphis. Her name is Amy Wiry. She's very corrupt. And one of the worst corruptions is, and it even made the statewide district attorney general's newspaper. They have one they circulate amongst themselves. And it was this Southern Baptist preacher who videoed himself having anal sex with or oral sex with somewhere around 19 or 20 boys, all under 12 years old. And the DA let him off with a misdemeanor sexual battery on each 1129, 10 1129 sentences running concurrent for 10 years unsupervised probation, and he did not get on a sex registry. And that's just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm trying to find the judge that went along with it, because in Tennessee that's illegal. But they did it to cover this guy up. So the settlement the church reached with the parents and the victims was that they would pay for their college educations. See, that kind of thing goes on today is a typical travesty brought about by some just flat-out evil.
Yes,
no
sir.
way around it. It's
Cases,
just evil.
It is. And a lot of these cases involve your wealthier people, your celebrities. I mean, these celebrities, and they have some of the parties that they have, and some of the places they travel to have these parties. And, a lot of these other countries aren't going to say anything, because that's a revenue stream for somebody in that city that's in a position of power or influence. And America condones a lot of it. Jerry Lee Lewis had a child bride, and that's going way back. And so the American culture in reference to relationships and inviting sex between children and adults, you can listen to the song Peggy Sue. You can go back and look at the old films where the guy was 18 or 19 and his girlfriend was 14. And this was in white American society, where these stories were prominent. In the 70s. You could see them. In the late 60s, they were featured movies. You look at Gidget, that used to be on all the time, and you saw a little girl sitting out on a beach who couldn't even fill up a bathing suit, and you saw 18 and 19-year-old guys claiming them as girlfriends, and that was normal in society at that time. Well, when you take something like that and you make it media-wise, and you make it normal, then you get these people who just sit back and prey on children. And America has done a lot of condoning all that stuff in the past to lead to some of the things that we have today, and taking power away from victims and their ability to speak up. We can look at the recent Supreme Court hearing that went out on Judge Kavanaugh, and that lady was treated like garbage, thrown under the bus. Now, I don't know if what she said was true or wasn't true, but if I went on a call and treated a complainant or a victim the way some of those people treated her at that hearing, I'd be fired.
So,
well,
Officer
let's say
Stan,
this.
I want to ask you real quick, just why do you think they're now wanting to prosecute R. Kelly, still with no evidence?
They can't prosecute him. They're trying to destroy him through the media.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, they said that they're collecting evidence and they're going to press charges against him in the state of Georgia or something like that. Like they have some evidence.
Georgia. I don't know what. I'm thinking Illinois. Go ahead.
No, I think what they'll do, R. Kelly is such a distraction. Not just it's almost like if we look at the Catholic priest. Once you get one, you're looking at somebody that's in the entertainment business, and I'm quite sure he's not the only one. But it's easier to throw one up on the altar as a sacrifice than it would be to dig into all the goings on. If we were to look at and prosecute and investigate what we call modern day music, the same way that they looked at the church, you shake the trees, you'd be amazed at what falls out. So you have to sacrifice somebody to appease the crowd. R. Kelly is not the only one. That, as was alluded to earlier by the one brother, I didn't catch his name, but the black church is right with some of this stuff. But, black folks, we don't want to bring that up. But some of the same preachers, folks rolling on the floor and throwing money around and speaking in tongues of these mega churches, let's start looking at them. It's there. R. Kelly is a sacrificial lamb.
I don't want to say anything. It was fiction. It was fiction, but remember The Godfather, where they put that horse's head in that producer's bed after that little girl walked out there hobbling because she had sex with him?
Absolutely.
They even know about it.
Absolutely. It's a twisted level. Sex is like a drug, and these young kids to these sexual fiends are like crack cocaine or method that are ultimate high. And these guys have the money, and they think that, well, I can do what I want to do because I'm above the law. We can shake down the political tree, and let's see what's going to fall out. See, R. Kelly has the potential to open up a lot of doors.
Yeah, it does. I'm in my 70s, and I know women in their 50s, 60s, late 40s here in the Memphis area that confide in me and tell me about going over to certain prominent black folks' houses who were leaders in the civil rights thing, prominent members of the community, and, you can go over there, they're fine people, and get over there and around poolside, get naked and being shown how to give a good hand job or a head job, and the wife liked to go down on them and everything else, and they still have troubles, 50, 60 years later, 40 years later, 30 years later, about what happened to them. It happens, and see, a lot of politics today is driven by the fact that there is a cabal between the Republicans and the Democrats at the top of freaks who have sexual perversions that they're trying to normalize. Now, I would call everyone's attention, since we're talking about it, a proposed House rule now that the Democrats are in control, H.R. 2282, which would amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to include protections to people who are compelled, amongst other things, by their psychological condition or other things so that they are oriented sexually in a certain way. And they're talking about pedophilia. And they want to also concurrently remove age restrictions on consent. That would help R. Kelly out. But, it's sick. That's directed toward the desires of pedophiles to deal with children. And now they got that little 9, 10-year-old freak that they push on Twitter so much and on ABC and Good Morning Show and everything else, where he's they call him the tranny boy, and he dances for some perverts for money in a New York club. And he's up pushing so that they can have true love between grown men and boys, and he's their poster child. And he's calling it LGBTPQ. So, There's a move afoot. It's a sickness, but, there used to be a thing about even if you got a problem, control yourself. Now they're trying to say you should not have to control yourself. Something about that is just wrong.
And also, I'd like to add, too. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just going to be really quick. And it was really sad for me when I started in police work in the '90s, and we would get calls and arrests of these sexual predators and rapists, and it was almost 9 times out of 10 a white male or a Hispanic male. That was across the board, and I watched it go in the late '90s, in the early 2000s. It started creeping into where it was black males, and it made you almost hang your head down, because that was a time when you could at least, no matter if we were selling drugs and we were gangbanging, you could walk out of there with some type of a thing in your spirit that says, well, at least we're not doing that. And I watched black people gravitate toward an acceptance of that lifestyle because it was celebrities. If we look at Michael Jackson, or whether we look at Prince's behavior, whether they were or weren't, we don't know. But we were spoon-fed that on such a small scale that it became part of the culture. Then John Benet Ramsey happened, which was the little girl who was found dead in her house. And that case has never been solved, but pretty much folks know who did that. And she was sexually assaulted and had been continually sexually assaulted, and nobody's in jail today. Well, why not? Well, because the Ramseys have money.
Well, see, officer, you just hit an important point. Hollywood, the media, is desensitizing us to what we used to consider horrible wrongs, in getting us accustomed to those wrongs becoming perceived as okay. I remember the first time I saw this applying to us as a people, black people. It was about 67 or 68. They had a guy named Fred Williams who was a football player, and then he became a black actor, Fred the Hammer Williams. And they had him playing the hero in a movie, but he was a major drug kingpin. And the villains were a rival drug organization. And they wound up doing all kinds of wrong in that movie. He murdered people, tortured people, and in the end, there are about 40 dead bodies or wounded bodies laying on the ground, and the police haven't come, and he winds up riding off into the sunset, filthy rich, smoking a cigar, and then a few years later you had Superfly, who retired to Europe off all of the money he made selling cocaine. They started glorifying stuff. So now you had Biggie Smalls on a rap record talking about he financed his first tape by selling grams, and you've got it legitimized where they talk about bitches and hoes and moving, merchandise, drugs, where that becomes, it just creeps into the consciousness. Now, I was the other day walking in a store, and I was getting ready to, leave, and it dawned on me. I said, you know what? I'm listening to elevator music. White folk wouldn't even let that be played on the radio around here when it was contemporary. But now it's elevator music, and I remember that well. And hell, I got to thinking about stuff I remember from when I was in elementary school. And I'm thinking to myself, what are these kids going to think about when they get my age from that time period in their lives, talking about bitches and hoes and all this other kind of nonsense? That's what's going to be in there? I can remember got a job, shot it out, or rattled, shake, rattle, and roll those pots and pans, ain't got time for your hoodlum friends outside, got a job or got lots of money, just got paid, now and got nobody to talk to, and then I'm going, what are they going to think about? It just gets in people's heads, and you condition them to it. That was what the Nazis did. Their minister of propaganda said, tell a lie one time, it's a lie. Tell it 1,000 times, it becomes a truth. Tell a lie long enough and loud enough, and you can get anyone to believe it. Well, it doesn't even have to be a lie. It can be something that is reprehensible, ridiculous, and just totally wrong. But if you keep saying it in a favorable light, or you scapegoat somebody until they get overfed, so I'm bored with it, I don't want to hear about it, and then you start working on a little at a time. Or in this case, what the main objective is destroying masculinity. So you put R. Kelly up there, who is a sick puppy, not masculine. He lacks manhood. His music is okay, but he lacks manhood. And you sit there and use that as a false example for everybody to say, oh, masculinity is bad. And you get a study people cite coming out of a prestigious university saying masculinity is a mental condition. Real men suffer from a mental infirmity because of their manhood, which is, I read it completely. It's ridiculous. It's obvious that the people that did the study had a position they were trying to substantiate. Instead of the research being taken as something to analyze objectively, it was selectively picked with a small sample to build a point around something's wrong with manhood and it needs to be treated as a mental illness, which is the most ridiculous tripe I have heard in a long time. But people are citing stuff like that. And when you look at R. Kelly, he just becomes a convenient means to attack manhood. And it's particularly bad because the one thing that black folks suffer from, present company accepted, is a lack of manhood. So isn't that right, my dear producer, director, Miss Valerie? By the way, that's what you asked.
Yes, but I wanted to piggyback on something Officer Mason just mentioned. I just found it, I want to recant the whole thing about the government shutdown and move into what you were just talking about. Do you know that just today there's an article that surfaced, Daily Mail put it out, and I realized that there were a couple articles that's talking about pedophilia, but they said convicted pedophile Gary Oliva reportedly admitted to killing by accident JonBenet Ramsey, and this is how the first few sentences read of this article. It says, ongoing mystery behind JonBenet's death may have finally been solved. Gary Oliva, 54, a convicted pedophile serving a sentence of 10 years for child pornography, admitted to accidentally killing her in letters sent to his music publicist. According to Daily Mail, he said, I never loved anyone like I loved JonBenet, and yet I let her slip and her head bashed in half, and I watched her die. It was an accident. Please believe she was not like the other kids. I loved her so much. So you think that they're opening the gate for this whole pedophile thing, like trying to gauge our temperature to see if this is accepted, kind of like they did when Obama was saying, hey, you know what, we need to give people gay rights, so they found out if we were going to be okay with that, and now all of a sudden, now there's all these gay rights, and this is next, so now it's time for pedophilia, so let's use this person and that person, R. Kelly versus a Harvey Weinstein, because those women were grown, but these were kids. You think they're trying to just kind of set the tone and set us up for this next level of insanity?
Yeah. They've been doing that for the last 50 years. There is a league formed between those who have been outed, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transvestites, and pedophiles. In other words, the thing about being gay is supposedly you were born that way and you can't help it. The thing about being a pedophile is you were born that way, you can't help it. The thing about being tranny is you were born that way, you can't help it. The thing about being a lesbian is you were born that way, you can't help it. See, that's the common thread. If you can't help it, it's supposed to be okay. You're supposed to be protected like you are a class based on color, race, creed, religion, national origin, or sex. And now they want to change sex so it's fluid. The person claims to be a woman, but he's got a penis. You're not a woman if you can't breed with a man. You know what I'm saying? You're not a man if you can't breed with a woman. At least theoretically, you might be sterile, but, that's another condition. So they want to get around these realities that have worked for us for hundreds of thousands of years, from when they had the first proto-humans. It's just a sickness. In other words, I don't like it, so I want it to change. And because I don't like it and want it to change, it has to change. Well, guess what? That isn't the way the world works.
I also like to bring up this as well. This is why it's important to have these type of conversations and to have control of our media. Because look at the case of Dennis Hastert, the former House Speaker of the House from Illinois, one of the leaders of the witch hunt for Bill Clinton. No, they found out he was, going around molesting teenage boys, and he was a wrestling coach, right? And he was found guilty in the court of law. And the judge ruled after they let him out of prison that he can't have any type of contact with people under 18 years of age. Like a judge said, he must have adult supervision where he's in contact with people under 18 years old. That's Dennis Hastert, one of the leaders against Bill Clinton for doing a consensual heterosexual act with a woman, right? So also you look at Jeffrey Dahmer, like the officer Stan talked about police getting involved in these cases. But here's the problem with Jeffrey Dahmer case. Most of his victims were black gay males, right? But also it was an incident where this 14-year-old Laotian immigrant came running out down the street, butt naked, blood out his rectum. 2 women called the police saying this guy's being abused by that white man, Jeffrey Dahmer. And the police gave the boy back to Jeffrey Dahmer. He was injured. He had blood coming out his rectum. And the police gave the boy back to Jeffrey Dahmer. Had they did their job, there's no telling how many lives would have been saved.
Well,
and I talked to people from Milwaukee. Now, I talked to Jeffrey Dahmer's interest, right? He worked at a chocolate factory, right? Like R. Kelly had the album Chocolate Factory. But he hanged around a lot of black people. Black folks would come over his house after hours, do like a happy hour thing. And some people talked about the smell in his apartment. So it's interesting. He preyed on black folks because black folks are not really a protected class of people in this country. We're not taking seriously about our ills. But what I'm saying, you look at Dennis Hastert, he's from the same state as R. Kelly. They put him in jail. They said, look, you cannot have any type of contact with kids without adult supervision. So R. Kelly stuff came up, and that time he had his day in court. They couldn't find nothing on him. They had the videotape. They still couldn't send his ass to jail. So what is the problem?
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about something we brought up before, the parents. I actually sat next to Jeffrey Dahmer's mother and his father or stepfather, and they're telling me they thought he always wanted to be a veterinarian. Why? Because he used to masturbate with roadkill. I'm saying, what? Do you actually caught him? Oh, yeah, we caught him many times. We just figured that he was really wanting to get into animals and be a veterinarian. I said, he's masturbating with something that got run over by a truck.
Jesus
he
Christ.
would go out there and get dead squirrels and birds and stuff and actually use it to rub on his penis while he's masturbating. I said, you didn't get that sick thing from treatment? What's wrong with you?
Jesus. That's bestiality, Joe Judge, to me. Also, I know veterinarians.
Yeah, but I mean, it led to him doing people in and eating them. You know, so they didn't have a clue while this thing is growing up. This thing.
Yeah, man.
Puffy. And I heard them say it. I was right there when they said it.
And the boy could speak English, too, his victim. That 14-year-old, he could speak English, but he was injured. He had brain injuries, and he was bleeding out his ass running down the street. They should give you some pause, saying, what's the hell going on?
Right. And you said they gave him back to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, the officer lost his job, and they gave him his job back. The officer was named John Boslerjack or something like that. He lost his job because of the outrage. But it was 2 women that understood this guy was in trouble, but the police said, oh, it's just having a lover's quarrel. And I remember when the Jeffrey Dahmer thing came out. I was a little kid. I still remember like it was yesterday, looking at People magazine and stuff like that, reading about this case. Most of his victims were black people. It's like, think about it. If R. Kelly had the Cosby thing, let's say if most of R. Kelly victims were white girls, alleged victims, you'd be in jail right now. We'll Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the optics. Black lives do not matter in this system. We are, you know, we've been sexually violated since we got here, man. You think about the term MF, right? Think about, you know, the sex farms. Look at this movie called Goodbye, Uncle Tom, the director's cut from the 70s. It was made by some Italians. They used primary sources from American history. They talk about J. Mary Sims. They talk about the Catholic nuns buying these little young slave boys off the market down in New Orleans, giving them as sex slaves to the priests. All this stuff is documented true history. Look up Goodbye, Uncle Tom from the 70s. They pulled that thing out the movie theater so quick. But what I'm saying is, this country is very disturbing to me, where black bodies do not belong to black people, whether it be entertainment, whether it be lynchings, whether it be the prison system, whether it be the education system. Our bodies do not belong to us. We got to fight back because we can't get no justice in a system that don't respect your humanity. Never has. So we got to be honest. Because you want to kill R. Kelly, but it's the system, like New Jack City, right? Was Nino Brown the problem, or is the system that produced a Nino Brown the problem? Which is the real problem, R. Kelly or the system that produces a R. Kelly?
The system is getting off the hook. See, the system should have censored R. Kelly. There was a guy named Fatty Arbuckle, and who was one of the wealthiest stars in Hollywood. And they had one of these freak parties in Hollywood, and he had sex with this chick, and he jumped up and down so hard after they threw her down on a bed that he ruptured her bladder, and she died of peritonitis, and they banned him from any further work in Hollywood. I don't see why they never did that with somebody like R. Kelly, other than the fact that his victims were non-white, if you can call it that, with the complicity of their parents. So, that thing, it's no wrong, and what's wrong with them having sex if they wanted to, with no understanding of the necessity and needs for children. They treat children these days like they are, what is the term, little people instead of children.
Right.
It's a bad thing because it's unrealistic. And that's part of the problem. These are just little people, so they have rights. Like I had an argument with a woman about searching lockers in junior high school. They have their rights. They should not have their lockers free. Yes, they are, because the school is acting in the position of what they call ex loco parentis. When the parents aren't around, the school becomes the parent. And here you are, the parents should be checking, going in the kid's room, seeing what the hell's going on. But they don't. My child is entitled to his privacy. Oh, how old is he? 9. And you don't go check to see what he's up to? That's why they listen to all this poison stuff on these videos and things that they see on TV that they shouldn't, because, I'm protecting my child's privacy. Oh, hell.
Right. Well, we're down to the last 15 minutes of the show, and I opened up a few more mics, 407-954-254-216-316. Guys, your mics are live if you'd like to say anything. But what do you, especially you, Ron, you're today's guest, what do you guys want people who are listening to get out of today's show? Like, is there a message, something that we can say? Because fake news is saying what it's doing its job. Now it's our turn. So what is it we want to say to people who seem to be fascinated by the fact that they can lend an opinion, but without any kind of resolve? Like, we're literally just talking. So what do we do with all of this controversy, energy, all this madness, all these things that we know has been going on for years and elected not to do a single thing about?
I would thank you for having the foresight and the vision to have all of us on this panel discussion. It's very, I'm glad to be with like minds, and I would encourage people to treat the internet like y'all going to church when y'all praying to Jesus or whatever. Do their Google search about anything you want to know or ask. Just put it in that search engine and think for yourself. I will get people to take notes on this show and to not just accept what we say, but to challenge by doing your own research and come to your own conclusions about the information that we shared. So we got to get out of this thing where we need to follow people around. Like I got this thing called the mailman theory. When the mail person delivers your mail to your mailbox, do you go to your mailbox to get the mail, or do you follow the mailman around on his route? Which one should you do? And then when you get to the mailbox, you got to be able to discern what is the real mail from the junk mail. It's like when you get all this news and information, what is the real facts versus the fake news, right? And so also I want to get people to pay attention to what's going on in California. We talking about pedophilia. We talking about all this other stuff going on. This guy named Ed Buck. Look up Ed Buck, this big-time Democrat, he donate all this money to the Democratic Party, right? Got found 2 black males dead in his apartment.
Yeah, the guy dead in his house.
Over 2 years, right.
Put his name out. Yeah, this is the second guy who died in
2 years.
his home. Yes.
No charges brought against his man.
His name. Right. Exactly.
He's a big-time activist for LGBTQ and in Hollywood, and he's been immune so far.
There you go.
You be black, and you, Officer Mason, you get a black man, and there's another dead somebody up in his apartment. What do you think, or a house? What do you think's gonna happen? And then you get the second somebody in a year and a half dead up in his house.
Right.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Absolutely, Judge. I just think, to me, just to sum up, I just think that a lot of these crimes with children is similar to like, if we take marijuana, when the behavior was taboo, it was illegal and quietly done, and then now when people figure out how to make money, see, that's why these children are trapped and folks make money. When they figure out how to make money, they slowly legalize it, very slowly, and that's exactly what's happening here with that house rule that you mentioned. It's slowly coming.
Wow. 407-308, 407-308. You're live. Your hand's been up for quite some time. Do you have something you'd like to contribute to today's conversation?
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Maurice.
Bless.
Oh, hey, Maurice.
Hey, I was listening to that about that Ed Buck situation, and that is actually kind of crazy that the media has really downplayed that whole process, and more importantly, our community has downplayed that whole process too, because it's like right now it's just R. Kelly, R. Kelly, R. Kelly, and I think and furthermore, we are really not trying to just come to grips on how strong and how open that pedophilia situation has become, especially in the Hollywood circuit too. I mean, if y'all would have caught The View a couple of years back when the young actor, the old actor Corey Feldman was speaking about it, that pedophilia is really rampant in Hollywood, and Barbara Walters was just trying to condescend him and be like, you're talking about that? Those are some powerful people you're talking about. You're like, yeah, but pedophilia is really rampant out there.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see how the media just went so strong as to go at Michael Jackson when this situation arose, and come to find, it was like everybody and their mama was just cracking jokes and making Michael Jackson to the biggest pedophile of all when they never had no evidence on him. And now, ironically, they're about to do a movie on the sex crimes and whatnot. Once again, dude never got convicted of anything. So my main point about this is, and I hate to bring race up on this, but it's kind of like they're doing character assassination towards a lot of these so-called black celebrities. Now, granted, we've all seen the R. Kelly situation, and he does not get a pass from me with the 14-year-old girl. As far as those 17-year-old girls that was on the documentary, I'm really like past that, because my thing is this: we've all been to high school before. We've all known there was always some girls at the high school that every guy wanted to get at, but they couldn't get with them. But for some reason, those girls end up going with like 20-year-olds who had the cars, fame, and all that. And what irks me a little about the process is that we're trying to play that like that was taboo, and it always went down like that. So now, all of a sudden, this documentary comes out, 6-part documentary, mind you. Not everybody and their mama wants to take this as the biggest thing to slice bread, and R. Kelly's public enemy number one. And my thing was, the ironic part is, 3 of the girls that claimed that he was abusing, TMZ got them on at one of his concerts in the front row, jamming like it ain't nothing. So I'm like,
that's sort of like the Bill Cosby story. One of the rapists was actually the daughter of the mother. How did that go? Her daughter actually sued Bill Cosby, and when they didn't get money, then the mother came back and said, "Hey, you raped me." How old?
Right.
Just for the panel, how old was Tamora Lee when Russell Simmons married her. Wasn't she really young? She was like
17, 18. She was about
Didn't he
17,
meet
18.
her and start dating her when she was like 15 or something like that?
Probably.
Hey.
So, probably. He got money too, though.
Like,
Russell got money.
All this is nothing new, man. You know, it's. I mean, personally, I don't think, you know what I'm saying, as far as, you know, children, no, you should not be dating, messing with no child underage like that. But for a lot of these people to just go moral, knowing how a lot of these relationships have kicked off, it's like that ain't nothing new what's going on. You know, Kels, what he did on that videotape, he should go to jail for that. But don't sit there and play like this ain't never happened when you had Jerry Lee Lewis and his cousin, Elvis Presley, and his young Priscilla was 14 at the time, wasn't she?
And she was a teenager.
That was Jerry Lee Lewis's wife. It was his cousin, too, first cousin.
Right. But Priscilla was a teenager when she met Presley, too, though. Priscilla was a teenager, too. She had to get her parents' supervision and consent.
Well, in Tennessee, marrying your first cousin is incest, too.
Well, you had one of the brothers in Alabama married his first cousin.
Here's the $5,000 elephant in the room. Lifetime is really not a good channel when it comes to showing good things for black men. Now, I'll give you an example. That's one situation.
Well, it is a channel for women.
Yeah, it's a channel for women, but the thing is, they really make black men look bad as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they did the Miss Chalet movie, Surviving Compton, and I'm sitting back like, you guys honestly would have did a Miss Chalet movie if Straight Outta Compton wouldn't have blew up. Seriously. It was like they're piggybacking off of it. So they needed another scenario. It's kind of like they pick and choose what they want to cover. Now, let me ask y'all a question. If R. Kelly never did any pedophilia in any way, shape, or form, do you actually think they would have did a documentary on his success?
Nope.
No.
At all.
Nope.
Is there not a statute of limitations, as it relates to this?
Now, I was going to say, real talk, I don't believe if R. Kelly hadn't been involved in this pedophilia stuff, we'll still believe he could read and write. We wouldn't have no clue, dude, was he living. But, once again, they picking and choosing what they want to cover, and most of the time it's not making black men look good in a special light. And we've had so many success stories where we didn't have to compromise. But they're not going to channel that. They'll channel the pedophilia thing more than anything. And with some of our sisters, it gets to the point where they tap into their emotions, and it's just automatically, we need to hang that person. So white society don't have to do anything towards taking us down. They'll let us do it to our own. That's why I never really celebrated when Bill Cosby went to prison. I'm like, hold up, something just ain't right here. And even if I wouldn't celebrate up and down for it, because if he did it, he was wrong for it. But at the same time, y'all still ain't had no proof on the man. And he still.
And what they were talking about didn't constitute wrong anyway. It's called grouping.
Tell him, John.
You go for sex, drugs, rock and roll, and what is it? You go back 17 more times to the man's house, and you called him up 7 times on Valentine's Day, and you still are associating with him. You got raped? Oh, give me a break. And then the stuff that he gave her was, what is it? Benadryl. Benadryl is for allergies.
Right.
It ain't for sitting up giving somebody something to get them wasted. Give me a break. You got a bisexual woman. You got a bisexual woman turned lesbian on everybody, and now she's aggrieved she dealt with a man who was trying to get somewhere too.
I'm not saying I can't drug with Benadryl, but I'm going to defend Benadryl. Benadryl do knock you out now. Benadryl do put you to sleep. So, I don't know if he gave them.
But look at how some of those ladies were lying. The black model, what's the girl name? she was on the View, claiming that Bill Cosby raped her, and Whoopi Goldberg straight asked her. Yeah, she was like, yo, how do you know he raped you? She was like, I just fell asleep when I was in the car. How do you know he raped you though?
Well,
I know this is. I know that this topic is like saying Candyman, but is this any different than Pizzagate? I know we shouldn't talk about that, and we definitely shouldn't, being that we're down to our last 2 minutes. But is this any different than Pizzagate?
Well, the thing about the Bill Cosby thing, I tell you earlier in our conversation about the reason why they were lynching black people, because they were business owners. Look at the Bill Cosby thing from a different point of view. Bill Cosby and his wife Camille own so many acres of land in the Northeast, in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. It's this energy giant out in the Northeast called Kinder Morgan. They wanted to build a pipeline to access the natural gas on Bill Cosby's property. Back in March of 2014, Camille Cosby wrote an editorial talking about how she was going against the energy giant, and she was working with environmental activists. This is 2014, March 2014. You can find this article online, right? She talked about how her and her husband was joining with the environmental activists to save the land from being exploited by these capitalists. At the end of 2014, so all this stuff started coming out. Hannibal Buress, Comedy Sketch, and all these women started coming out. This is about a land grab. This is about business as usual. They use the sex thing as a sideshow, as a distraction. But the truth of the matter is, this is about black folks can't have generational wealth in this country, period. We built this country, but we're not allowed to celebrate and pass that on to our generation. That generational wealth that they owe us.
And I'll add one more thing. Carolyn Bryant, the woman who murdered Emmett Till, or who got Emmett Till murdered, she's still out on bail, never got sent to justice, and she admitted that she lied. So where's our passion on that?
She never got put on bail because they never charged her with anything.
Right. And she
now,
did it
back
to
to
it.
Benadryl. I have A.L.L. I take 4 and 5 of them at a time. I mean, I'll take 4 or 5 of them at a time every other day for the allergies, and they ain't never knocked me out like that. And that Beverly Johnson, I listened to the interview Whoopi Goldberg did with her. She said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I started feeling drowsy, and I was about ready to fall out, and he called a taxi and escorted me down the elevator and put me in the cab and paid my fare." So what did he do? Well, he was going to do something. She never said he did anything. She just said she fell asleep in the cab. It must have been something that she wasn't remembering. But you said that when you started getting high, he called you, said you had to go home. You know?
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
All right, guys, we are down to the last 2 minutes, so I'll go on and get your final thoughts. For those of you in the chat room, you listen to the Judge Joe Brown Show, 929-477-1167. We had Mr. Ron Hurd, brother Ron Hurd, in the building, who I'm now going to call my surrogate brother because of my surrogate dad. Well, I guess, Ron, you know what? I don't even know if I can say that to you because, you know, Officer Mason seems to be the only person that Dad claims, so we might be stepchildren. That's just messing with you.
That's the kid as well. That's all right, Daddy. That's all right.
Hey, Ron, are you seeing anybody? Ron, are you seeing anybody?
No, I'm not seeing anybody right now.
Last information, you're not seeing anybody now? On last information, I heard that Valerie was single and looking.
Oh, my really?
God.
Hey, ain't no wrong with that.
Note,
we all kissing cousins anyway. We all kissing cousins.
Let's give it an applause, Ron, I swear. Isn't that called incest, Dad?
Wait a minute now. Since we established a relationship, and we talking about Jerry Lee Lewis.
We've been talking about this the whole day. And now you want to bring brother and sister together. Where
great balls of fire. Hey.
Y'all crazy.
How did we go from Dad to she needs a man? But anyway, guys, all right, so this has been great. Definitely. Thank you so much, Ron. I don't know how to thank you enough. This is fun. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out. And I would definitely love to do a part 2 if you'd like to entertain the idea. So definitely have
I'm
the
open
show
to it.
with
I enjoyed
thought.
it.
Oh, yeah. Well, great. Good. Yeah, we're amongst family, or you are. And I appreciate everybody who chimed in today because obviously we got some work to do because I'm not exactly sure if we solved any crimes today, so I couldn't put my Olivia Pope hat on today, but I do think that we brought up some really, really good points, and hopefully people will continue the conversation after today's show. Judge, I always give you the last words. You got 30 seconds. She's already in my ear saying 90 seconds before they turn the lights off. So do you have anything that you'd like to say in 30 seconds or less?
Well, yeah, it looks like I'll be having a new show called Hot Topics. It'll be played on the weekends for the first pilot, which will be for 6 weeks. That'll be coming up. We're starting taping on that the end of this month and the beginning of next month. So help me out. Let's boost the ratings up so they can keep it and make it a regular show and then expand it for the week. And I can be caught on Twitter at Judge Joe Brown TV.
Yes, and real quick, Ron, what is your contact information, real quick?
Well, people reach me at, go YouTube, We All Be TV, one word. Also, my phone number is 901-299-4355. That's 901-299-4355.
All right, so I'll make sure to get that to Philip because he asked about that. But for everybody who was brave enough to press the number 1, we definitely thank you. We love you to life. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Please be safe, stay prayed up, and don't forget to continue the conversation on the other side. Also, don't forget to subscribe and share the links with other people because that's how we're going to take it to the top. All right, guys. All right, everybody. Again, be blessed. No stress. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Goodbye.
Blessings.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to share our links on your social media. We love you to life. Please enjoy your day.
The Judge Joe Brown Show, presented by Valerie Denise Jones. Uncensored truth with a legal twist. Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 929-477-1167. Or visit MissValerieDeniseJones.com for details.